Hey all, just another video here to take a look at one of the latest template designs here. This one's called Swatch. And so just wanted to do like usual, take a run through the layers here just to see what's involved. Take a look at a couple of options here that may be new for some people just to see how those are used and to show just how we can customize this and make this as simple and as efficient as possible. So let's jump into it here and take a look. So this is the base design here, and typically I show the banner, the vertical banner options on these because usually for the individuals they're going to have more options than for the team. But when you load up the horizontal or the team base layouts, it's going to be almost identical with the same options here, just maybe arranged in a little bit different way. So let's take a look here. At the top of this are our color grading layers. So this is what's going to impact a little bit of the color and contrast and tonality of the overall image. And so again, this is in a group. We can expand this group. You can see there's 3 layers here. And so all of these can be used, if you're dropping your subject in and maybe they're a little bit warm or a little bit cool versus neutral, then you can tweak the opacities and the visibility of these layers to get more of a result that you want if you're looking for something other than how it's set up by default. So those are there and can be changed. Below that are our facial highlight boost layers that I do put in all of the designs. We'll pop back up and take a look at those in just a couple minutes. So then we have this brightness boost layer. So this is one I put in because I just found in my testing with some different subjects that on some I did like the look of the face and upper body being brightened a little bit. On others I was okay with how they were by default, so I just dropped this in as an additional layer that can be turned on and off. Alright, if we go on down, we can see that we have some text layers here. So this is just the year that's at the top. This is the first and last name. These are just, again, normal text. Can be just double click and edit as normal. And let's go back and check and commit that. So again, very easy to update those. The fonts, you will see the fonts that I use in my samples are linked on the product page, so you can link directly to those. Below the fonts here is another folder. This is our gradient bars. So kind of the whole concept behind this swatch design is making these color swatches and these gradients so that you can really customize it to your school, your team colors, and just allow some of that color to kind of stand out as design elements. So the gradient bars, if we open this up, we'll see a few layers in here. So you're going to have your main gradient bar layer. So like here's the one under the first name, down here is the one under the second name. And again, the best way with any template layout is just to turn layers on and off to see exactly what they're doing. But if we look at the one under the first name, we're going to see above that we've got a hue saturation adjustment layer, and again I always put notes in the layer names to clue in on what they're doing. So we have use lightness slider to adjust the darkness or brightness of the gradient, and so I put that in here. So again, if we scroll up to our properties panel and look at our lightness slider, I found this handy if you wanted to darken that value up or brighten it up to create some different looks. It's just as simple as moving that lightness slider. Now you don't really have to mess with the hue saturation on this one because above that I just put a simple color change, which is just this color picker here. So you're just going to double click on this and you could sample, right, if we wanted to sample this same red from up here, and it's going to sample that red. Or if you make your swatches, you could sample all your different swatch colors. You could sample directly from a jersey. You could just go in here and pick new colors. So if you wanted this to be more of this blue tealish type of color, we could do that. So it's just a very simple color picker in here to change that color. So we'll just set that back. Alright, and then it's the same thing with the gradient bar below it. The same lightness slider here to change that brightness value, and then your color picker here to change that color. Okay, so let's close that group up. Below this is our subject layer. We're going to talk about that one last because there's a little something different to create the effect in here. So we're going to come right back to that in just a minute, but I just want to take an overview of the layers. Below that, this is some overall texture that's getting thrown over the whole background. So you can see if we turn it off, it removes all of that from everything, and turn it on, and it just gives a different depth of texture in there, which I thought looked really cool. Below that is our subject shadows. Again, we're going to talk about those with the subject in just a minute. So let's go on past those for a second. This is our upper text. So this text is made so that it has this nice arch effect to it. Now to do that, we have to do that via a smart object. And so with a smart object, if you've never used those before, the nice advantage of these is you can tell on the layer that it's a smart object based on this little icon here that's in the corner of the layer thumbnail. And so it allows us to do some effects to this without altering the original text. And so what I mean is if we double click on this layer thumbnail, it's going to pop open a new document window, and this is just normal text now. So we could change this. So if we wanted to change this to something like, let's do the Eagles, and we're going to click the check to apply. Now the one thing we want to keep in mind is we want to keep the text within the bounds of this canvas here. So if I hit Command or Control T, what I'm going to do is just grab a corner. Let's use Shift and Alt, and I'm just going to bring this in so that that S is just bumping up right to the edge over here on the right, and then I'll just grab a corner here, hold my Shift key, and I'm going to bring that E till it's bumping up against the edge right there. Alright, so let's click Apply. So just for an example, if this is stretched out past here, we don't want to do this because that's going to affect that arching warp on the text. So we want to make sure everything is horizontally from edge to edge within the bounds of this. So once we have that, and we can also change our color here, by the way. So let's grab a color here. I'm going to go ahead and preset this to like an orange tone and click OK. Now when I close this window, it's going to ask if I want to save this document. I'm going to say yes. And so when it pops back over, you're going to see immediately it's updated that text, but it's applied the shape that we have, and it's added our color that we set the text to. So very easy to do. It just needs to be done within that smart object. Alright, let's scroll down and keep looking here. This is our swatches. So you're going to see we have 5 swatches here, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, 1 on the bottom. So we're going to open this folder up of the swatches. So we'll see here's the bottom swatch, and it's just got that simple color picker attached to it again. So again, we can just double click on this, and then if I wanted to match up, one of these oranges, I would just click up here, and that's going to apply that orange color to these swatches on the bottom here. So let's just click OK. We'll just save that for now. And then the same thing, we have like our lower left, lower right, upper left, upper right. So this is going to also affect each of these swatches as needed. So if we wanted to pick a red or a blue or a green or whatever color, you could pick it right from the jersey again, and it's just going to set that gradient of swatch there. Let's click OK. So again, all of those very simple, easy to use. Let's close the swatches up. Now we have, you'll see again, some clipped layers down here to this upper box, which is this box right here, just to add a graphic element in the background. So we have that same lightness slider that's going to affect the brightness or darkness value of that gradient. And then we have our box color, again, the simple color picker to set those colors. And then there's one little thing I added to this. Well, one more we'll talk about. There's texture, so there's some extra texture added specifically to that box that could be turned on or off. But if you'll see on the upper box, I've got a smart filter set up here with an automatic invert. So I found on some of my samples, I really like the look of inverting this, so it went from dark to light, top to bottom. And then some I like the look where it was light to dark the other way. So it's just an easy little option there to just click, click, if you want to switch the direction of that fade quickly. Alright, if we go on down, here's another layer, which is just the background color. So this can create a color fade on that background if you're looking to mix and match different looks up. And this is just a simple hue saturation adjustment layer, so it'll tell you background color, adjust HSL sliders as needed. So again, that's up here in the properties box, so we can move these sliders around to match up whatever colors we wanted to go, more gray or more towards black. We could push that down, or white, we could push that up. So again, all of those sliders are there to customize the look of your colors and things. So let's turn that off. And then ultimately, this is the background texture. That's kind of that wrinkled paper, gnarly type of look back there. All right, so let's drop a subject in and take a look at a couple of these other options here quickly. And then we'll set colors and everything to match and just show how this would work overall. So in our subject, we're going to expand. It's going to tell you place the subject in this group, so we need to open the group up. And now the subject in this is going to be dropped in via a smart object as well. Now it doesn't have to be. You only need the smart object, the subject in the smart object, if you want to create the shadowing effect that is built into this. And let me show you what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do initially is I'm just going to drop, let's grab our subject here. I'm going to drag him over, drop him in. Let's just resize him here. So if you wanted to just use this kind of, as is and place your subject in, you could do that without any of the shadowing effect just by dropping your subject above this layer. But let's undo this. If we want to apply the effect, what we're going to do is get back up here to our subject container. So we'll see subject container, place subject in this smart object. So same thing, we're going to double click on the layer thumbnail icon. It's going to open up a new document. And so this one's going to tell you subject here. And there is a little tip on this one, which is how to align the subject here with these guides. So let's do this. I'm going to drag our subject now into the subject container. And what I want to do is first I want to make sure that he is within these outer guideline bounds. So I'm actually just going to make him just a hair smaller to make sure he fits within those comfortably. And then the other is, and you'll see it's in here, keep subject between outer guidelines and eyes near horizontal guide. So I find best placement is to put the eyes roughly around this horizontal guide. So as you open up the different layouts, those should be set up for placement for each one. So now if I close this window, ask to save, I'm going to say yes. Now we should see, if we jump back over to the design here, that we have our subject in here placed in a good position on the design, and now it's automatically applied these background shadows here. And so these were designed to kind of play on that whole color swatch type of idea. So let's set the colors on this design so that it makes sense for our subject here. Alright, so what we want to do now that the subject's in here, let's go ahead and set we'll start at the top here, our gradient bars. So kind of school colors here are orange and black, or orange and gray. So we'll leave this top bar here as gray because that works for the colors. But for the red here, let's come over and pick like one of these orange tones from the jersey here, something like this. Now what I like to do is once I start setting my colors, I like that one better, is I like to go ahead and copy this hex value right here. So what I'm going to do is hit Command-Control-C to copy that and say OK. And now as I set all my other colors, we can make sure that these match up. So let's drop that down here. Let's come on down. So here's our first shadow color. So what you're going to see is we have our left and right shadows right here, and those are automatically being created based on the subject we put in that smart object container. And so with that, we have a gradient applied to those, which is taking it from just, a colorized version of your subject into that shadow type of look. And then this is the shadow color. So we could turn it off. It's just going to be, kind of grayscale. But when we turn it on, we can double click here, and now I can paste in, Command-Control-V, that same orange value that I used down here to create that look. And now it's starting to look cooler as we start to build this thing out. So let's go on down. I'm going to leave this one gray because, again, I think it works for the school colors. The upper text, let's set that to our color value here we want. So Command-Control, paste our value, click OK, close this window. Now we've got that orange to match. Let's come down to our swatches. So what I think, again, I love templates because you can make these look however you want. This is just kind of how my brain works when I set it up, which is, let's set our bottom to our orange color. And then I like the ones, personally, on the left here to match whatever color I made this shadow, and the same thing on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one match that orange swatch. On this side, I'm going to keep it gray to match that side. On this one up here, we're going to make it match the orange. And then again, I'm just going to pick any grayscale scale value is going to make those the same. And then our background box here, let's pop our orange in there, which I like. And again, I could look at the difference if I wanted to see that inverted, which that looks kind of cool too. Maybe I want to leave that. I could see the texture on and off on that one. Let's just leave it off just for the heck of it. Of course, you could always see what your background color looks like. So if we wanted to push that more towards kind of that orange, that would be somewhere around there. I actually like it better without on this one, so I'm going to leave it off, because I like to see those distinct shadow colors in there. Yeah, and then the last thing I would do on this is we could pop all the way back up to our facial highlight boost. So you're going to see there's two. There's one for lighter skin tones and one for darker skin tones. And so what I like about these is I'll just start with the darker skin, and I'm going to click on the mask, and I'm going to come over here with a white brush, and let's make this a little bit smaller, and then I'm just going to paint over his face just to brighten those facial highlights. And then if it's too bright, I'm just going to knock that opacity down just a touch, and that's just going to make the subject's face kind of pop out there. Again, it's a portrait after all. We want to see their face. You could use that on other skin tones too, like if we wanted to just quickly pop some of the biceps here with those highlights, we could do that, and gives us that nice dimensional type of look. So there we go. Fairly straightforward to use. There's just those couple little areas with the smart objects, if you're not familiar, that will just take a couple minutes to get the use of using those. But hopefully you get a ton of use out of this one, and I'll see you on the next one.